morning and welcome. Please can I ask you to take your seats as we convene for our meeting this morning. Thank you. Please bring your coffee and snacks with you by all means. Thank you. Looks like a full house. A lot of interest in this topic today, and quite rightly so. Thank you very much. Please, can I have you quite nicely?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, everybody. Once again, welcome. Thank you very much for being here with us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh for all those fasting. Thank you. Welcome. Salam sejahtera for all of us here today. And again, terrific welcome to everyone here from the British Chamber, and also many thanks to Kadim for hosting us today and for taking this interest in the British Chamber and our hub, Britcham's Smart Sustainable Cities Hub, the first event for 2024 for this new hub. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Our topic is ESG in action, journey, challenges and solutions with leading ESG practitioners. We're very happy to be with you this morning. My name's Ian Betts. I serve as the Honorary Secretary to the British Chamber of Commerce Indonesia. I'm very pleased and proud to be with you here this morning in the Kadin Lounge at Menara Kadin. Once again, thank you very much to Kadin for hosting us today and for being such an important part of this transition to ESG in action that we're seeing so actively in the private sector here and with government stakeholders. So today's program is all about ESG in action. It's a journey, the challenges that is faced by that journey. Our speakers will convey some of those challenges, issues and solutions as they are all leading ESG practitioners. Our speakers include Anthony Otomo, Head of the Energy Transition Program of Kadin. Thank you very much, Anthony. As well as Maria Nindita, Head of the ESG Task Force of Kadin, and Ibu Shinta Kamdani, Coordinating Vice Chairwoman for Maritime Affairs, Investment and Foreign Affairs. I would like to invite Pak Darsono Hartono, the CEO of PT Rimba Makmur Utama, to address us. Pak Darsono is the head of the ASEAN Carbon Centre of Excellence. He's also chair of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin's Net Zero Hub. Pak Darsono is the CEO of PT Rimba Makmur Utama, which operates the Katinan Mentaya project, the largest peatland restoration project in the world, generating 8 million triple gold certified carbon credits annually. He's also the permanent chair of the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Markets, the AACM, and chairs the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin's Net Zero Hub. Pak Darsono, if I may, perhaps you could come up and introduce your speakers before I take over again to introduce the moderator.
Good morning, everybody. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Dear ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Dr. Haryanto, Head of Planning Bureau, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. Mr. Ian Betts, the Britcham Honorary Secretary, Managing Director of Hazel Asia. Ibu Ingrid Siburian, Presiden dari Country Chair of Shell. My dear friend, Ibu Ana Patricia, which is the Vice President Director of Petroman Brothers. And my father in crime, Pak Anthony Otomo, Dota in Net Zero Hub. And finally, Ibu Maria Nindita, Head of Kadin ESG Task Force. Good morning and welcome to Menara Kadin. I think as mentioned by Ian, I'm actually the chair of both the Carbon Center of Excellence and Net Zero Hub. And I think we're here today to really explore the potential of how we can create business and ESG together. I think with the journey, challenges, and solutions that we see, I think Net Zero Hub are here to help all the companies to embark this journey together. I think the key is journey. People always looking at net zero as a destination, but I personally think it's a journey that we have to do. With the strong collaboration of Kadin, I also chair the ASEAN Net Zero Hub, so I think we can work together in this region. Not only that we work in Indonesia per se for companies that we want to embark this journey, we work in ASEAN to also show that the region is also heading to that direction. But more importantly, we also want to work with the dialogue partners. So somebody like Richard and others are also can be the solution together. So I think, I hope that today with the panel, you'll hear all these great panelists. There's a lot of great story coming from Indonesia, and I hope that we can actually share that to the world. Especially now we have a president-elect as of last night. It would be great to have that journey together. I think Kadin is always here for business, but business that do good as well. I think we don't want to perceive to be business that always think about profit, but now we are really into ESG, and our chair for ARSAT is really into it. So with that, I welcome everybody, and I hope that this panel will embark into a new, as well as enlightening us, that Indonesia is here for ESG and Indonesia is here to stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pat Darsono, for those encouraging remarks and also for highlighting the role of the British Chamber in all of this. British Chamber has 7 hubs or working focus groups, and of those, perhaps one of the most essential, one of the most active and hard-working is Britcham's Smart and Sustainable Cities Hub. And very pleased and proud to have today as our moderator Mr. Andy Chitawaraman, who is the chair of that hub and also water sector leader at McDonald, a major infrastructure company internationally from the UK and many countries overseas. Andy Chitawaraman is the water sector leader at McDonald Indonesia. He has a great deal of experience in the wash sector across Australia, the UK, the UAE, Indonesia and Singapore. Beyond that, he chairs Britcham Indonesia's Smart and Sustainable Cities Hub, playing a pivotal part in securing McDonald's moderation role for the Green Infrastructure Investments Panel at the 2023 ASEAN Summit, AIPF, last year. I remember that event very well, very effective. Andy excels in project definition, team leadership, and managing international donor projects in Southeast Asia, emphasizing gender equality, disability and social inclusion, as well as environmental safeguards, institutional strengthening, community development, and climate resilient solutions. His diverse expertise contributes significantly to the advancement of sustainable and impactful projects in the region. I'm sure his experience will also extend to moderating a terrific panel, as we've heard from Pat Darsono this morning, made up of both government, private sector stakeholders. I'm very pleased to invite Andy to come to the lectern and introduce your panel and begin proceedings. Thank you very much.
All right, good morning everyone. I know it's a tough ask for us to come 8 in the morning during Ramadan, so I would like to thank everyone's enthusiasm to join us here. I want to thank Kadin as well for hosting and Anthony and the team. Really good to have and seeing the collaboration between the two chambers. So today, what is the topic? The topic is a journey, challenges, solutions with leading ESG practitioners, right? And towards what? So that's what I was saying is the destination. What is the destination? Destination is net zero. So what is net zero? Net zero is a condition whereby you have a balance between the greenhouse gases emissions you emit and the greenhouse gas emissions you absorb or you remove. Why do we need to do that? Is to basically realize the target of the Paris Agreement. Indonesia signs that agreement. What is the goal? Is to limit the increase of temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So the journey, part of the journey is the key milestones includes 2030. You have to reduce hopefully 45%, and then majority of the countries hopefully 2050, Indonesia hopefully 2060. But then we cannot do this alone. It needs to be a collaboration between all key stakeholders. Private sector is an important part of it. The government is an important part of it. So we would like to see all these leading practitioners showcase their ability to demonstrate that we are involved in common actions, we are interested, we are enthusiastic, and we want to make sure the targets are realized. Okay? So, but then ESG, what is the role of ESG in net zero? Environmental, social, governance. Why is E first? It's the environment. We need to take care of the environment. That's what I was saying. You want to have a sustainable business. You need to maintain profit. You need to maintain revenue. But you need to maintain it sustainably. We cannot carry out business practices when it floods every now and then, when we do experience forest fires all the time, when we have tornadoes now in Bandung apparently. We cannot have that. We need to limit that. So we need to maintain our business sustainable. So I would like to then invite all the speakers, the industry leaders. So the first one is Mr. Anthony Utomo. So Anthony is the managing director of Utomo Charge Plus, which he spearheads at the forefront of the EV industry and solar power generation in Indonesia. He has over 14 years of experience of renewable energy sector and certified as an auctioneer. He leads innovative solutions and he has a passion for reshaping energy landscape, driving his active involvement in promoting renewable energy adoption. He was nominated as EY's Indonesia Entrepreneur of the Year in 2019, recognized for his commitment to sustainability and innovation. Welcome, Anthony. Number two, we have Ibu Anne Patricia. Welcome. So Ibu Anne is the Vice Chairwoman of the International Relations and Foreign Trade at Indonesia Textile Association, or API, and Vice Chairwoman of HIPINDO, which is Indonesia Retail and Tenant Association, and also, like someone was saying, she's also Vice President Director for Pen Brothers. Okay, so very powerful woman leader we've got here on the team. So hailing from the logging and wood business family, she transformed Pen Brothers to become Indonesia's top garment manufacturer and acting as a vice CEO. With the degrees of University of Southern California and Loyola Marymount University, including an MBA in 1994, she currently pursues a law degree at the University of Indonesia. So she needs to leave a bit early today to attend the course, so I need to make sure I keep to the time. But as an esteemed professional, she holds key positions in organizations such as API, HIPINDO, Kadin Indonesia, and as Indonesia's Bonded Zone Ambassador. She serves on the board of the International Apparel Federation, or IAF, and manages the trade policy for ASEAN BAC. Welcome. Okay, also very powerful women leader. Ibu Ingrid Siburian, please join the. So Ibu Ingrid is the President Director and Managing Director, Mobility of PT Shell Asia. So with over 15 years at Shell, she began as a network planning manager before global assignments in London. In 2014, she became the Vice President of Network, overseeing Indonesia, Singapore, and Hong Kong. With 20+ years experience in strategic and operational roles across industries such as PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Booz Allen and Hampton, Hutchison Telecommunications, and Citi, Ingrid holds a marketing degree and master's in finance from the University of Oregon. Thank you. We also have Pak Haryanto, Dr. Haryanto, the head of planning and bureau at the Ministry of Energy and Resources. So quite a diverse sort of panel speakers today, each with their own role and their contributions to climate action and ESG. So it'll be interesting for us to hear from each of their perspectives. Dr. Haryanto holds a doctorate in chemical engineering from University of Indonesia and Technical University of Munich, His career showcases a commitment to energy and resource management. Beginning as the Director of Energy Conservation at the Renewable Energy and Energy Conservation Directorate of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, he pioneered sustainable energy practices. Transitioning to leadership, he leads the Center of Research and Renewable Energy and Energy Conservation at the Balitbang, or the Research and Development Facility of the Ministry. Subsequently, Dr. Haryanto served as a head of Center for Mineral, Coal and Geothermal Resources, another key renewable energy source here in Indonesia, at the Geological Agency of the Ministry. Currently, he is shaping the strategic initiatives as the head of the Planning Bureau at the Secretariat General of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, driving resource optimization and sustainable development. Okay, thank you. And is Ibu Maria here? Okay, Ibu Maria is there. So we also have an important observer within us, among us. We have Ibu Maria Nindita, PhD. She is the founder and president director of the Institute for Sustainability and Agility, or ISA. She chairs the ESG task force in Kadin. Another powerful Indonesian woman leader. So welcome, Ibu Maria. Ibu Maria is a pioneering figure in corporate social responsibility of CSR, social and community enterprise, organizational governance, and sustainability. With a PhD from the University of Technology of Sydney in Australia, and executive education from MIT, Boston, US. She is a leading expert in her field, currently serving as the founder and president director of Institute for Sustainability and Agility and chairing the ESG task force of Kadin. She holds key positions in international committees, networks, including vice president of learning at Indonesia Global Compact Network, IGCN, and vice chairperson of OSMINCHAM Indonesia. With unwavering dedication, Ibu Maria continues to propel sustainable practices and advocates for social responsibility, leaving a lasting impact on the global community. Welcome. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start with straight away to the panel. So we have about 15 minutes, and then after that we will have Q&A, and I want to prioritize questions from the audience. So please do have a think about on what you will be asking. So, finally, I understand that I can just ask questions straight away to you. So, as the deputy lead of Kadin Net Zero, what is the main background of the formation of the Net Zero Hub, and what is its purpose?
Okay, thank you, Andy, and hi to all. It's good to reconnect with a few familiar faces and, of course, getting new friends today. And as you know, Kadin is the home for all chambers, including Bridgechamp. So I hope this is not the last time you guys gonna be here. We are expecting Andy to work more on upcoming events with Kadin Net Zero Hub.
We will.
So yeah, sorry I didn't answer your question and give you some homework. But yeah, because I have all of my bosses here. We have a founding member of Kadin Net Zero Hub, and Anna is one of the founding members. Kandaras is one of the earlier members who pushed this through, and of course I have my boss here, Darsono. So I couldn't respond anything but giving you that homework. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anthony. I'm helping out Pak Darsono to collaborate together with the stakeholders in Kadin Net Zero Hub. So, as you know, Kadin Net Zero Hub is a platform. It's a hub, just like the name. So, in here we are compiling companies, corporations who have the same interest to start their net zero journey. And of course, the philosophy that we aim is to put SBTI as the mainstream in Indonesia. I suppose some of you might have heard SBTI, some of you have not. So please let me share a bit about SBTI. It's a framework where it's called Science-Based Target Initiative to give the corporation mandates and disclose their net zero pledge and their milestone. So in Net Zero Hub, of course, together with the other compartment like ESG, we try to accelerate the literacy of this on the corporation level. we have already 80 members. Of course, Bu Anna is one of the earlier ones, but the list is keep growing from time to time, and we are, of course, welcoming any of you who will join Net Zero in the near future. Basically it's a peer-to-peer learning platform for us to excel and accelerate our net zero journey. And we have a lot of programs, Andy. We have a CAP, corporate assistant programs. We already graduated 30, and it keeps growing. And of course, we are open to any other collaboration means. And we have the boss here. Of course, there are always some space where we can lobby and convince him to support collaboration programs with Kadin. But at the moment, to be honest, we are overwhelmed because sustainability has become one of those high demand initiatives around. But what ESG? Which platform? How to do which GHG accountability? So in Kadin, we always think that SBTI should be the epicentrum of all of our effort in the corporation side.
Okay, so thank you very much. So basically the purpose is to graduate companies who first need to pledge their ESG commitment, and then once the pledge is formed, they need to implement and take the journey to transition the company to achieve net zero at a certain state. Right?
Of course, there are always a few facets out of this.
Right.
The aim goal is to support and assist the companies to start their net zero journey. It doesn't have to be pledged now, right? Even if you ask Anna how did she met her husband, it always takes time, right? You get to know first, you start with a coffee, you don't get kids right away, right?
Yes, it's an ESG PDKT, right?
Yes. Happy, yeah, PDKT. So we have a lot of various, how you say, introductory session like today.
Yes.
So don't jumping into the core of the core, bro. Take step by step. But yes, our goal is to eventually make the companies pledge net zero. But going towards that, we are very flexible. We are not that extremist, but we are also not that pessimistic. So we are an optimistic realist.
Yes,
Okay.
that's good. Thank you. So I've got one more question. So, as deputy lead, what are some of the specific biggest challenges that companies face? Because 80 is a really good number that have enrolled to the program. 30 have graduated, but obviously we have a lot more, thousands of companies into transition. So what are the biggest challenges for companies adopting ESG practices in Indonesia that you observe?
So in our experience, it's very simple, Andy. It started with the mindset of the C-level.
Yeah.
So it's always been a scattered, fragmented initiatives all around. Some people, yes, I have done waste management, okay, I have done whatever, solar, and we fought over the PLN or whatever. But the thing is, it has to come from the top, right?
Yeah.
These are all the implementation to reach the goal. But once the framework has not been set, we are circling around and just finding out we got only one planet. So another section, for example, like Shell and some other oil and gas company in SBTI, the framework has not been set. So these are also institutionalizing sectorized solutions, and it's also a challenge. So some sector like apparel, steel, we already have the standard. We have consensus how to reach and accelerate the goals of our collective action. But for some specific sector, it's still challenging. So I would say these two will be the main challenges.
Okay. Having consistency and having an integrated approach to make sure it's clear for any sector. Okay. What about in terms of the supporting incentives? Are there any that you know from Kadin and your companies that it's more popular for them to adopt ESG practices?
So there is a good example of one of our Scope 3 members.
Right.
So we work closely with Adidas.
Okay.
So Adidas, in fact, has embedded SBTI framework as part of their procurement strategy.
Yes.
So in France, we call it if you don't comply, we don't buy from you, something like that. So I think in that context, it really hit my nerve that it's no longer game of shame anymore. It really hit your bottom line. Of course, is just one example out of thousands of companies that have a different strategy. So the objective of Cabinet Zero Hub is to lay this on the table. Some companies see it as an opportunity. There is a CBAM, there is export opportunities that if we can fulfill and get the understanding of this threat measurement on the product level, then you can be ahead of the curve. You can have a competitiveness and it aligns with our national interests in Indonesia. But obviously, you have to pick your word. You have to pick our battle. And in Cabinet Zero Hub, our battles is working with the private sector, with our constituents, to make sure that they understand and they know that there are options on the table as part of the strategy ahead.
Okay. So, sorry, I had to correct myself. Previously, I said shell in Asia, but actually instead of Indonesia. So I need to correct myself. It's better shell Indonesia. Okay, thank you, Anthony. That was good. So I want to move on to the next speaker. And obviously, for companies who are interested in the Net Zero Hub, as the host here, I hope that you have questions to the Net Zero Hub, because we do want more companies to enroll at the end of the day. All right? So the leads are here, so it's for you to network with the leads here. Okay, so next we have Ibu Anne for Penn Brothers. I understand you have some visuals and some presentations, so I would like to. Okay, so silakan Ibu, you can present.
So basically, you don't have questions for me, but I just need to.
I will do it. I will
question
send
me,
it.
and I can because my deck is actually very short. But allow me, actually, thank you, Andy, thank you, Pak Antoni. I actually chased my husband, not through the coffee. It's not even PHP, it's a very direct approach. This is
What's the wrong example?
But anyway, I do agree with some of the things that Pak Darsono and all the speakers have discussed earlier, and of course pre-discussion on this we have some thoughts. But for company who are Indonesian company who doesn't even know what ESG likes or net zero to be exact. So our journey starts with share the
Next slide, please.
So I just want to share you who we are. So Penn Brothers is actually an Indonesian company. We have been built since 1980. We start from very small beginnings. But then in 1990, we actually become a listed company in 1990. And the journey of our ESG to us stands for environment, social, and governance. Start from day one because we are the producers of global brands. So global brands that are being mentioned, one of them is actually Adidas, is one of the brands that we have catered since 1994. And of course, because we are internationally exposed, or we are the largest garment exporter up to now, we of course have to focus more on our social first. And if everyone remember in 1999, the first reformations of Indonesia where the labor policy are being endorsed, we are the one who can, we are a labor intensive industry. And to be exact, it's an eye-opener for every Indonesian company, and of course all the multinational companies based in Indonesia, that Indonesia can have reformations back then in 1990. But from there on, we actually opened our eyes because the economy of Indonesia is open book for everyone to see. And for that, we need to be resilient. And since the S is always our fundamental group of Penn Brothers, we actually also tapped in the environment side early on. So if you look at our next slide, our journey actually started when we actually, so in 2014, so this is strange, yeah? In 2014, because I'm chemical engineering background and training. So I do understand that climate change indeed happened, right? So I said to all my colleagues in the directorship, green, and at that time we are not talking net zero, we are talking go green. They said, what is go green? how to actually inspire all of our employees, because we are in 22 factories, and we have to have some monument, we call it new monument, to actually share what is our thoughts and share with our inner team that we indeed want to go green. So, in when we established our Central Java factories, we set ourselves that we need to have our first green office that is being certified platinum. That's the first actually office in the whole Central Java that is green office. Yeah, it's even before Paris 2020. Yeah, this is 2050, because we want to share to the world that we indeed can, and this is Indonesia. And of course, Adidas and the rest of the brands are surprised. Why you have to make that? This is such a, they call it luxurious thing, which is not actually. This is made by Indonesians. The contractors are Indonesian. The architect is Indonesian, but all the interior is actually being done nationwide. I mean, Japanese, because we have Japanese brand, and then we have Netherlands brand, we have European brand. So all the interior are being designed in such a way that if you see this green office, this is a very low cost in a way right now. The OPEX, of course, the CAPEX is not, and it's solar. It's actually solar paneled. This is in 2015. So that's our first journey about Go Green. Then, what's next for us? What's next for us is actually in 2019 when we started to realize that we do have a lot of social activity, but we don't have a framework. We actually put it on our platform. We call it the People, Planet, Profit. That's in 2019. Why? Because my motto, I'm not copying Pak Jokowi. It's even before he said it. My motto is actually very straightforward. Work hard, work smart, work in precisions, because in government, if you are not precise, you have to do effort, and that's very, very costly, or it's a loss. And then number 4, actually, work in faith. Because I'm Indonesians, I believe in Pancasila. I really believe on that 5 fundamental value of Pancasila, that number 1 is believing in God. Number 1 is ketuhanan yang Maha Esa. Number 1 is not keuangan yang Maha Kuasa. So that's what I believe in, and that's the reason why in the C level and then on our GM level, and right now everyone within Brothers, because of that monument in 2015, they do believe what we are saying. So it's not only what we call it pencitraan, but it's more for inward policy that, look, this is what we should do. This is what we should actually act. We cannot influence the world if we cannot actually change ourselves. It's a theory that you can change the world, because actually changing yourself is actually the hardest part. Saying things is easy, but action actually speaks louder than saying things. Yeah. So in this slide, you could see our next journey is actually in 2020, when we refine our sustainability part and we put an SDGs platform on it. And in 2022, actually, we actually committed to the net zero thing. And at that time, everyone said, why do you want to do this? We said, because it's already in our platform. Why not we actually commit ourselves, declare ourselves to Kadin, as well to inspire the rest of the textile and garment industry and be the pioneer for this, and show to the world that Indonesia can, despite all against all. This is like, during COVID, when vaccinations, everyone said Indonesia cannot do vaccinations because we have 280 million people. But look, we are beating everyone against all. And it's not the work of the government only. It's the work of everyone here, including the private sectors, right? So our first installation, Pak Antoni, it's in 2021, not yet with your company, but it will soon, hopefully, for our next phase. And in 2023, actually, we declare ourselves that all of our employees, we should have an e-bike or e-motor. And soon, by 2025, actually, our journey, it has to be, everyone has to be electric. I started to use car electric starting last year.
So with the e-bike program, that's interesting. So is that you are enabling your employees to somehow get a loan or something for
Yes,
Ah,
yes, yes,
That's very
because for us, it's very important that they actually understand that this is actually low cost for their operations. Remember in 2022, the cost of the oil, 2023 is going up, you know, the gasoline. Yeah, so we actually encourage, look, you know, this is the kind of savings. But of course, it's not directly, they have to actually be cajoled and being influenced. And soon, we hope that by 2025, majority of our workers, our employees, as well as the car vehicle of the company actually use mostly EV. That's
how
our
many
goal.
employees are there? Is it thousands?
25,000. Used to be we have up to even 37,000 during the pandemic, because at that time we are actually making PPP for the government of Indonesia. We are being asked. So we actually employ more during COVID versus now. And in 2023, actually, we committed ourselves for our journey to be SBTI based. And it's actually a very painful journey. I have with me my team, Budi and Rizal here, who actually, I have to respect them, you know, I actually have to applaud them, because they are the one who make this SBTI, not me. I'm just sitting here and speak with all of you, but actually the go behind the scene is actually them and the rest of the Pan Brothers. And Pan Brothers is actually, if everyone know about Industry 4.0, actually we are the national lighthouse for garment on 2 of our factories in Central Java as well as in Tangerang. And why it's a national lighthouse? So they are reviewed everything from not just the ESG part, but our effort actually to humanize the automations and digitalizations. So what does it mean actually? You know, a lot of people thought that automation and digitalization is actually a way to reduce manpower. That is actually not. It's actually a way to easing out the manpower transitions from the oldies like us to the young generation. So we put our wisdom on our digitalization, we put our hope on our automations, so that when the inflations hit sky roof, like in the last 10 years, actually the current sectors can still be sustainable in Indonesia. This is against all, yeah. But whatever it is, why we do all of this, right? Next slide. Because we believe. So this is the roadmap of decarbonizations of Pan Brothers. There are a lot of things that we need to do, and we declared this already in our sustainability report, as well as our journey towards net zero in our SPT that has been SPTI based. So yes, we do want, you know, PLN later on to ease out, because to be fair, EU has declared, I don't know if it's going to be implemented, by 2030, there's no coal, so it's no coal energy based from our supply chain, from scope 1. I don't know how we are going to handle our scope 3 though, our scope 1 at least and scope 2. And then our scope 3, this is something beyond us that we need everyone within net zero even to influence and making sure that sourcing from Indonesia is indeed can actually fulfill the Green Deal of Europe, because we do cater a lot to Europe and to the rest of the advanced country under OECD, right? And then, you know, we actually also mentioned to everyone that if the government of Indonesia can see the sincerity and genuinity of all the companies in Indonesia, hopefully all the regulations actually not hinder us to be net zero, but actually to support us. You know, people always say to me, Anna, we need to be incentivized, but actually with technology, we don't need to be incentivized, but we need the right regulation to support us. Because asking government, sorry, I know there is a government here, but I'm sorry, but I'm not pointing finger at you, but asking government to give us incentive is actually, it's like me looking at the moon. How to go to the moon? You have to break a lot of, you have to build a lot of things. Rather than doing that, why don't we make a technology that make it cost savings, and we don't have to ask the government, and making sure that all the regulation is actually throwing us instead of against us. Yeah, I'm not talking only about solar panel and electricity. A lot of things like environment things, social things, and all. Yeah, and by doing that, it's actually already reduced and giving us incentive just by having the right regulations for the whole company in Indonesia, whether it's Indonesians or multinational company. So my last word for everyone. So actually, sustainability is not a theory. We are a living proof of sustainability. Yeah, it is action driven. Take action first, no matter how stupid we are. You know, we are like an early hero, but we need to inspire the world that what we do is a good deed. And you know, our calculations when we die is not how many diamonds or how many gold that you can bring to bribe God. Actually, what kind of good deeds that are being counted by God, and you know, we have a place in heaven. And I mean, I'm not religious, yeah, everyone, but that's actually what work in faith means for me. Yeah, for me, and
a different kind of gold.
a different.
It's deeds, gold,
Yeah.
gold
No,
deeds,
but-
golden deeds.
But that's actually what
Yeah.
sustainability is, right?
Yeah.
It's not only for us. It's for our next generations, so that they actually have the same equal chance of living like us, isn't it? That's what the meaning of sustainability. It's not only about us and save the world. It's about us for saving for the next and next and next generations, so that they don't have to. You know, there's some film that you even have to buy oxygen for. You know, there's a new film. I forgot the film.
Is it June?
That's one of it.
Number 2?
Yeah,
Go
but,
to the
but
cinema.
it's scary, right? Why you have to actually buy oxygen to actually live in the world? That's nonsense, right? I mean, we have to. I mean, but it have to start from us, right? We cannot be pointing fingers and then judge people. It has to start from us, and that is standardized for us, for me.
Thank you. That was very good. From leading practitioner and leading industry in Indonesia. So, People Planet Profit is at your homepage. You have pledged your commitment on your journey. So, your net zero target is at 2060, 2050. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
actually our net zero target, if everyone, I mean, because scope 3 is beyond us, our net zero target internally for our scope 1 is actually by 2035. So earlier.
Wow. Okay.
Scope 1. But scope 2, we are working on it. So my hope is by 2045, if all the cosmic is good for everyone to see that we are aligned and we have harmonized solutions,
Yeah.
then my hope is actually by 2045. Because I want Indonesia actually, when we are Indonesia Emas by 2045, the world can see that we are not only what is our GDP right now? We're number 11, 12. I want Indonesia to be number 5.
Yeah.
And when we are number 5 worldwide, when we are part of OECD country, that's where we actually can pass on to the next generation. By 2045, I'm going to be, how old I'm going to be? 73. By then on, my hope is to become public servant. I mean, really public servant. Yeah, I'm not business woman. Why? Because I think that's where the next generations should fulfill the economy sectors of Indonesia. And I hope that, you know, we, along with Richards and the whole world, can see how Indonesia actually believe in our Pancasila, that fair and equal level of playing field are being endorsed here. And not just being I'm here or theory, that actually we can live and breathe and actually can prosper because of our fair and equal.
Thank you. Yeah, I think in terms of the golden deeds you're saving right now, it will help to realize the golden Indonesia 2045 vision as well from the president. So I think that is also, I think the new capital city, I hope that will proceed. That also has a net zero 2045. So if you can compete with the new capital, that'll be very good. So
it's not competing with IKN. IKN is part of what? It's like harmonized.
It's harmonizing with
Fair, equal,
yes.
living place where Java and Kalimantan has the same kind of index ratio on whether or what do you call it, the green thing, instead of the red thing every morning, the index of air quality.
Yeah. So a true commitment from a C-level, from a massive corporation here in Indonesia. So can we do another applause for everybody? So next we have Ibu Ingrid, CEO of PT Shell Indonesia. So I would like to welcome Ibu to also share your presentation.
Thank you. So first of all, I need to do the right protocol first because we are talking about net zero emissions in 2050. So we are talking about the future. There is a lot of forward-looking statement there. So as part of the protocol, because of this unknown risks, uncertainties, I need to make sure that whatever that I share today is based on the outlook of what the condition today. Yeah. So whatever happens in the future in 2030, 2050, there is a possibility that it's going to be not the same with what we expected today. So it's just a cautionary note. If you're interested to know more detail, please go to shell.com. Thanks. That's we are very strict and compliant, so that's oil and gas, I guess. Because I have my CR person sitting there, I just need to make sure that I do what he said, right? So, all right. So just like what Anthony mentioned, everything starts with what did you say before?
Coffee.
No, not PHP. Pendekatan, PDKT. Yeah. So before Shell is actually setting a target for 2050, if I can share a bit, back in 2017, we announced our ambition to halve the emission of Scope 1 and Scope 2. Yeah, that was what we announced in 2017. And 2020, we set that ambition to become a target. So we target to have the Scope 1 and 2 emission by 2030. So from ambition, it moves into a target.
Clear policy commitment.
Yes, clear commitment there. Now in 2021, we launched our Powering Progress. So Powering Progress is actually set out our strategy in accelerating our transformation into net zero emission business by 2050. Yeah, so there was a clear target there, that we would like to reduce emission by half in Scope 1 and Scope 2, and as well as there's ambition as well for Scope 3. So this, just like what you mentioned, Pak Andi, about the Paris Agreement, we believe that this Powering Progress is really supporting the huge ambition of Paris Agreement, the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature.
Yeah.
And it's also aligned with our purpose, because what is the purpose of Shell? We want to provide more, so there's more and cleaner energy solutions in step with society. So there's also in step with society there, because of course, we cannot do this alone. Yeah, we need policymakers, we need customers, we need industrial players to work together to make this happen. So that's basically our purpose. So the Powering Progress strategy is actually looking at 4 goals. As a company, of course, we need to create value for our shareholders by looking at portfolio, the diversification in portfolio, as well as being disciplined in our capital allocation. And we also want to work together with customers as well as across sectors to achieve and accelerate these net zero emissions. Yeah. Empowering lives. Shell is operating across 70 countries. We are employing more than 100 employees across the world. So what we want is 100,000, yes, 100,000 employees across the world. And we want to make sure that we play an important part in the society in basically helping people's life by providing reliable and affordable energy, not only to areas where it's easy to access, but also to areas where it's difficult to access. For example, like in India, we also help with improving the cooking condition in certain villages, as well as in Africa. We're also doing a lot of work there. And in Indonesia itself, most of our workers, including in our petrol station, for example, we make sure that is recruited from people in the surrounding. Yeah, so there's a lot of work in when we call about powering lives there. And respecting nature, of course, is one of our goals. We want to protect the environment through reducing waste. How can we play a positive contribution in biodiversity, in nature-based solution as well, in land restoration. That's actually part of our goal as well. Now, if we go to the next slide, okay. So these strategies actually create a balanced transition. When we move from fossil fuel into a lower carbon solutions energy, yeah. Because what we want is, we want to create more value with less emission by making sure that we deliver the energy that the world needs today. For example, oil is still playing a major role in transportation, especially in certain countries, for example, like in Asia Pacific, right? As well as we want to make sure that we build for the future, we build for tomorrow. We're starting to have EV charging in our station. We also believe that LNG will play a critical role in energy transition because it has less emission. And like what Anne mentioned, at the end of the day, coal will retire, and that will be probably replaced with LNG. And we also want to prepare for the future, like hydrogen, for example. And how can we help reduce emission in hard-to-abate sectors like marine, like aviation, through hydrogen or through carbon capture storage as well. So that's what we want. We want to make sure that we deliver the energy for today, build for tomorrow, and also prepare for the future. For example, when we talk about EV, yeah, at the end of last year, we already have around 50,000 EV charging units across the world, in which we target to have 70,000 by end of 2025, and then around 200,000 in 2030. If you look at China, we have one station in Shenzhen, is about 2.5 kilometers from the airport in Shenzhen. It has 258 fast charging units for EV. So it's huge, it's big. Yeah, if we look at Singapore, for example, I think that's one of the most advanced countries in Southeast Asia when it comes to EV, for sure. So in Indonesia itself, we also already have EV charging stations, whether it's in our petrol station as well as in public places. And I think all of us seen there's also like EV charging units, whether it's in the malls or in parking spaces or in any other public spaces. Maybe not very high utilization at this point in time, but I think we believe that it's going there. Yeah, it's going there. And there are three guiding principles that Shell's use to deliver the strategy: performance, discipline, and simplification. Because what we want is, we want to play in an area where we have competitive strength, where we see customer demand, and we identify clear support from the government in the regulatory. Just like what you said, right? I think regulatory and framework policies, clear policies is very important. If we really want to be successful, yeah, in achieving this net zero emission target. Yeah. So if you could, so that's basically just a bit of the overall strategy. But let's bring it closer to home. So how do we implement this strategy in Indonesia? So in Indonesia, we have two main marketing business. We have mobility, we call it mobility, but it's actually the retail business, the petrol stations. I hope some of you actually filling up at Shell. It's not a campaign, by the way, it's not a promotion. but I have to do that's part of my job, right? So. And then we also have lubricants planned, yeah. So we have more than 200 stations across 5 provinces. So we spread across Greater Jakarta, West Java, East Java, as well as Banten and North Sumatra. And if we look at our petrol stations, yeah, we already have, like I mentioned earlier, EV charging stations in some of the petrol stations, as well as we already installed in public places like Pacific Place Mall, for example. So if you go in one of the parking place, you can see, it's called Shell Recharge. That's the brand, Shell Recharge. And when we do our business, of course, we employ, for example, for our petrol stations, in total about 4,000 staff, yeah, to run the petrol station. And we make sure that in every petrol station that we have, at least, like 40% actually recruited from people surrounding the area. So we want
economy.
Yes. So we want to make sure that we also support the economy in the surrounding, work together with the communities. Yeah. And another thing that we do is, maybe you also notice that in our petrol station we have shops. So our packaging is also recyclable, made of recyclable cups for our coffee, as well as our packaging. We also, in our facilities, we use efficient energy equipment like the LED lightings. We also use solar panel, not only in our petrol stations, so about 1/4 of petrol stations are actually equipped with solar panel, as well as in our lubricant plant in Marunda. So we have a lubricant plant in Marunda. It also has equipped with solar panel.
Is the target to have all to have at some point?
Yes, at some point, yeah. But of course, it needs staging, yeah, transition, yes. And in terms of the product that we actually produce and sell, we have, higher octane fuel. We also have low sulfur diesel, is basically aligned with the Euro 5 standard, so it's very, very low emission. Our lubricant products is also, some of the lubricant product line is also a carbon neutral lubricant products, yeah. So both from our operation, from our products that we sell, we want to make sure that we are also supporting this energy transition, yeah. And if we go to the next slide, not only from the commercial point of view, of course, I mentioned earlier how we power lives, how we protect environment. We have a number of initiatives, social initiatives. For example, we have Shell Eco Marathon. Maybe some of you have heard about Shell Eco Marathon. It's basically a competition for energy efficient vehicles. Yeah. We had it for the past 2 years in Indonesia, in Lombok, Mandalika. So and then this year we're going to have another one. Last year was Asia Pacific. Last year was Asia Pacific and Middle East. This year is going to be Asia Pacific. So it's basically attract a lot of students from, from Indonesian university, from university across the world, in really competing and creating efficient energy. So it's the shape, of course, efficient energy is not like the cars that we're using right now. It's very different, but it really promotes that thinking. Yeah, and how can we also involve the youth, starting from university students to start thinking about this, energy transition. We also have Shell LifeWire. It's a platform to boost entrepreneurship of young startups, where we basically create a competition and provide them with trainings, coaching via bootcamp, so they can develop their business plan and later on they can present. So we create the platform where there's academicians there, industry players there. So it's really helping to boost the youngsters as well, the mindset of the energy transition. And also we have in the top there one is Desa Bersemi is one of our the biggest project that we have, where we work together with partners and of course with villages around our factory in Marunda, where it's basically a waste management program with a circular economic approach. So basically they separate the waste, like in organic waste, turn it into either recyclable plastic, or they use it into, turn it into fertilizer, then having it, use it for urban farming, and basically clear the circular economy. So this is something that we have been doing for the past few years. And of course, apart from these big things, we also have like drop box for recycled products, bottles in our petrol stations. We also monitor and our emissions from our operations. So there's a lot of work that actually we in Indonesia doing in order to support the energy transition. So, but I guess, like what we have discussed earlier, it's not enough if it's just the company. We have to work together with customers. We have to work together with policymakers to make this happen, because, and of course, it also needs commitment, commitment from every stakeholders to make this happen. Otherwise, I think the net zero emission maybe is going to be still far away.
Thank you. So yeah, that was very timely. So the setting the scene here from the the chambers, allowing opportunities for companies to transition. We have two different industries transitioning, leading the initiatives in Indonesia, and everybody has got dependency on another key stakeholder, which is the government. So I think this is the nice segue to introduce Pak Haryanto, and then what can the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources contribute in helping companies to transition, but also educating the audience here on your plans in energy transition. Okay, silakan from Pak Haryanto.
Yes, thank you, Andy. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting us to discussion for today. Yes, thank you. Bu Ana already practiced in electric vehicles and also doing it in electric vehicle, very interesting. And if we are talking about the ESG and energy transition, and the E in ESG more the development and relate to the environment performance of the company, including the greenhouse gas emission, energy efficiency, and also the environmental impact in the company. So, talking about the energy transition, we in government of Indonesia, we already had the roadmap of the net zero emission that already mentioned will be achieved, will targeted to achieve in 2060 or sooner. And to achieve the NZA target, the strategy has been prepared to achieve, including one is a development of the renewable energy in the supply side. And second is how to implement the energy efficiency. Bu Ana also already mentioned about the energy management system in the company. And the third is electrification of the demand sector, including the transportation. And next is about the carbon capture storage that Bu Ingrid also already mentioned, that we already had the regulation of the carbon capture storage. And last is about the early retirement of the coal-fired power plants. This is our strategy to achieve the net ZA in 2060 or sooner. In the development of renewable energy, because renewable energy is located in certain location. Apart from developing renewable energy, electricity generation technology, it is also necessary to build the infrastructure, because if we build the renewable energy generation in certain area, and this is very specific, then should be transferred to renewable source, the demand center. So this is very important to build the infrastructure of super grid, we call this, to accommodate the development of renewable energy. So next please. Relating to our long-term development, we make the target in the 4 states of the energy transition. So state 1, state 2, state 3, and state 4, and normally this including the development of renewable energy, whatever the commodity. In the first stage, probably we focus on hydro, solar, geothermal, wind, and biomass, and then also implementation of the carbon credit. This carbon credit is very interesting because this can be used as an incentive for the company or industry. It is very important. And step 2, as mentioned earlier, that in 2030 we starting in coal-fired power plant retirement. So it is very important because we could develop another clean energy like renewable energy, and also to implement the energy efficiency to take off the fossil fuel-based technology. So in the step 3, I think we will continue in CFPP retirement and also expand the electricity network through interconnection and smart grid. So this is, and the last in step 4, we also expand the retirement of CFPP or coal-fired power plant, and also in this step, ammonia and hydrogen for industry and transportation will be introduction in our country. So this is the state of the development of the journey of energy transition in Indonesia. So as a government, we have a regulation that already mentioned by Ibu Anna and Ibu Ingrid. So we have a new regulation that just issued. First is relating to the presidential regulation number 112, 2022. This is accelerating the development of renewable energy. And second is about the government regulation number 33, 2023, is about the energy conservation, that's implementation of energy management system in company or industry. And we reduce the mandatory of energy efficiency implementation in industry or in energy use from 6,000 ton oil equivalent, now we reduce to 4,000 ton oil equivalent. Mean that this is more industry will also mandatory to implement the energy efficiency in Indonesia. And then we'll
What is the
continue.
energy efficiency target? I heard 25% by start state. Is it in 2030?
No, our document until now is 17% until 2025.
17%.
Yes, 20%, and reduce the intensity 1% each year, every year. Okay. This is the target of the government. And the next is the regulation of MEMR regulation number 2, 2024, according to the solar PV rooftop. And the last is about the presidential regulation number 14, 2024, concerning the carbon capture storage. This is all this our regulation that.
So with the solar PV one, what is the what does the regulation include for solar PV mounted rooftop? Is that to mandate or to provide incentives or to provide, what is the regulation?
Yes, this is actually this renew of the previous regulation.
Okay.
The previous regulation, that in the new regulation we not limited installed capacity.
Okay.
Mean that the previous regulation, the installed capacity is limited to 100% of the existing installed capacity when we connect with the PLN grid, just for example.
Okay.
This is the new, but in the new regulation, we don't have export-import metering. But we substitute with the advanced metering in the installation. I think this is all of the regulation, the new regulation that hope will help us in accelerate the energy transition in Indonesia and to achieve net zero emission in 2060 or sooner. Thank you.
Thank you. So I also heard with the regulations, there is a certain portion of renewable energy power plants right now, at maybe 10%, that you want to increase to a bigger number or to a certain point. Is there a target to transition to a particular percentage at 2030 or 2045? I mean, 2045 will be all, but you were saying you're prioritizing solar, hydro,
Yeah.
wind, but what is the portion that you want to push at the immediate future, so that when we talk about scope 1, scope 2, net zero by 2030 or 2035, as the sea levels here commit, that hopefully there is actually a renewable energy source available for the company as well to tap onto through PLN or other means.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's in our life document. This our target in 2025 is the renewable energy mix is about the 23%.
20%. Okay.
Right now, the achievement of energy mix in renewable energy is about 13 point something percent. Yes, 20. Yes, still far away to achieve this the 2025 target.
Okay, thank you, Bob. So, I guess we've talked about the 2045 goal, and we've heard about the policies and the guidelines and the regulations. So, how does the ministry collaborate with other government agencies? Because one of the questions that we raised earlier today was about integration between, say, Ministry of Energy and Resources, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Bappenas. I know that Bappenas wants to obtain the private sector contribution to emissions reduction through the XR system, but I also know that the different ministries have a different platform to report on emissions reduction. So what I'm interested in is, how does the Ministry of Energy and Resources collaborate with other government, industry stakeholders, and civil society organizations to advance the net zero goals?
Okay, thank you. Yes, of course, we realize the energy transition effort to achieve the net zero emission target 2060 or sooner cannot be done alone.
Yeah.
For the success of the achievement, the key word was collaboration. So, just for example, right now, we collaborate with the Ministry of Public Works in terms of utilization of hydropower.
Dams for solar PV. floating
Yes, yes. Then for solar PV. So in this regulation that we can utilize until 20% of them surface area
Yes.
to install the PV floating. Yes. And this is one. And second, we also collaborate with the Ministry of Public Works in terms of building, because they have regulation about green building. Mean that we from Ministry of Mineral Energy and Mineral Resources in the point of view of how to utilize energy in the building. So we have standard of energy efficiency in the building, and then we collaborate with the Ministry of Public Works.
So you have your LED certifications, but there's also the green certification from the Ministry of Public Works and the Ministry of Energy. Okay, good. Thank you. So time's up for the panel discussion. So and I also understand Bu Anne has to leave at 10 sharp. So let's keep that in mind, audience. So I open the floor for a question from the audience. And then I can also ask a question if there's no initial question from the audience. So I'll open the floor. Any questions? Oh, there's also actually, I want to invite actually Ibu Maria in terms of your observations. So Ibu Maria is here as an observer. So after my introductions earlier, based on our discussions from different points of views, what are your observations on today's proceedings?
Thank you very much, Pak Andi. Thank you so much for very inspiring sharing from leaders in the organizations and I mean companies and also government. So I would like to share some of my intakes, yeah, of this really important discussions, yeah. And first, let me just take my notes here. So I think I'll just combine between, you know, the inspiring thoughts and sharings with my thinking, yeah, and also some of the maybe concepts, yeah. So I just my understanding, and also this is very important for Indonesian companies, that of course before I need to explain that Kadin already made guidance on ESG implementation for all companies and available online for free for download. So just go to ESG Task Force Kadin.id and then you can download all of the guidance of ESG implementation, including infographic, yeah, ESG Task Force.
You can scan the barcode there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there you can see some of the guidance. So first is I'm very impressed with the sharing that it is very important for companies to, number one, is set the target, just like Anthony mentioned, yeah? Set the target. Target is actually the start. But how can you set the target? Well, number one is leadership. So it has to be a top-down commitment. Yeah, so the CEOs, you know, the BODs, including BOCs, they all need to understand why. Why do you need to achieve a net zero target and, you know, set a net zero target for your own company, yeah? Then if the leaders are already has commitment, then they will set framework, yeah? So frameworks, that's what I understand, yeah? And then once the framework is already set up, then it will be bottom up, you know, collective actions. As long as it is institutionalized, like you mentioned, through policies, you know, policies, and also I call it ESG linked or ESG performance linked incentive. And the incentive should be for, I mean, from the leadership level until the implementation level. So the leaders will get bonuses and incentive if they achieve the ESG performance target.
It's like an outcomes based rather than output based.
Yes, yeah. So the outcome should be based on the ESG performance, yeah, ESG performance, yeah. And then also they ask many other challenges, like for example, pressures from customers. Well, this is like, you know, actually blessing in disguise, because you have a pressure from customer, then, you know, you have no choice. But Exactly, yeah, so that's pressure from customer. And also like Anthony mentioned as well, you have to be ahead of the curve, meaning you need to have your own USVP, as I call it, unique sustainable value proposition, uniquely for your company, yeah? So, and then that's why customers will be loyal to you. And then, like Ibu Ann mentioned that number one is very important to change yourself. Yeah, meaning change your mental model, change the way you think. That this is not just about cuan, yeah, but this is about, making our planet a better place for our future generations, yeah.
Which is basically the core definition of sustainability.
Exactly.
Meeting the needs of the now
Yeah.
to meet.
Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations in meeting their own needs, yeah? And then also it is important to get government incentive, not just regulations, but also incentive, yeah? Like, for example, maybe we know that in environmental area, there is a proper ranking, like proper ranking. If you, achieve the best environmental performance, then you get gold, and then and then after that green and etc. So why not make it especially for this, decarbonization actions? Yeah, but at least recognition is very important, that is also part of incentive. Because if the companies would like to access sustainable finance, then they can at least show this is a, recognition from our government that we have done all of these actions, and it will be easier for them to meet the requirement for sustainable finance, which has lower interest rate and also very good for your, company reputation, yeah. And then also this is like Ibu Ann mentioned that it is important for Kadin and for Apindo maybe or for any other organization like associations to introduce and also to empower and also to motivate all of the business practitioners or small medium entrepreneurs so that they can also achieve this target, and it will be easier for big companies to have scope 3 to achieve your scope 3 target, right? So it has to be collective actions. Hence, government needs to provide incentive for small medium entrepreneurs, so they are motivated to do this, and then they can be part of the scope 3 of big companies, and also I think also there is a need to have like what Pak Dr. Haryanto mentioned already, collaboration with other ministry, and we certainly hope that it will be synergy between many ministries, so that it won't be too confusing and then too many requirements, to comply for companies. Yeah, so those are my intake.
So it's a strong constructive sort of feedback. Thank you, Ibu Maria. So that's very good. So from Kadin ESG Task Force, thank you for your insights. So maybe noting about the time again, I would like to remind the audience whether you want to ask any questions to the panelists, please. Okay, silakan Mas.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Jason from Equator Rights Advisory. I have two questions directed to certain panels. Is that all right? That's fine. All right, thank you. So the first one is to Bu Ingrid. So about Shell, I've glanced through the sustainability report, and this is actually relating to what Maria said about incentives. I'm really curious about incentives. So in the sustainability report, it stated that the pay of more than 16,000 staff is linked to the target to reduce the carbon intensity of energy products to 9 to 12% by 2024 compared to 2016. So how successful has it been? I'm just curious. And the second question is, so Indonesia has set an EV adoption target of about 400,000 vehicles, four-wheel vehicles by 2025. Is there anything more that can be done to achieve sort of critical mass Because I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem in the EV industry. Like, do we have enough chargers, or is the bottleneck with the affordability of cars, so on and so forth? This question is targeted to Living Good and Anthony, but anyone can answer really. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So yeah, maybe first question about the incentives, the realization.
I think it's very impressive. The sustainability report was just out yesterday, but you're already like on it, so very impressive. Yeah, so basically, if we look at because you asked about incentive and how successful it is. So like what Bu Maria mentioned, indeed our incentive, whether it's long-term incentive as well as bonus to the employees, actually linked to our achievement of our target. So there's a certain portion of that. And if we look at at the end of 2023, we already achieved 60% of our target to halve the emission of scope 1 and scope 2. 60% of the 2030 targets versus 2016 target. So we already achieved that target. And we also have a target for the NCI, like what you mentioned. This year, I think it's 9 to 12%. Last year, it was between 6 to 8%. And we did meet our target, which is 6.3% last year. So it's actually linked to the bonus that we get, linked to the long-term incentive that we get. Everybody from the top, from C-level to the senior executive to everyone in the organization actually, have the same parameters, have the same bonus parameters, incentive plan parameters. So everybody is actually geared up to work together because, leadership commitment, you cannot just say, okay, this is our target, but how do you instill it to the whole organization? Because it's not about, ESG is not just about public relations initiative. It's not just about trend, but it really needs a commitment from the leadership. It really needs a shift in the mindset. So we all can work together, and this is one way that Shell is actually doing to make sure everybody is actually moving towards the same direction. Second question is about EV. So basically, completely agree is if we look at EV adoption rate, I think in Indonesia is pretty much still low utilization at this point in time. I think it's even below two-digit utilization rate. Because I think it's all about, do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the incentive? Not only from the industry player, but also for the consumers as well. Do we have the right policies to support that? So that's why, if we look at Shell, we are very careful, in deploying our, for example, EV charging, because we all basically need all of this to work together. Because at the end of the day, you also need to create value, right? You also have responsibilities to your investors, to your shareholders, and it's also, apart from sustainability, of course, financial is not the only thing, but we also need to make sure that we provide a good return. So, for example, if we look at, I think, because when we talk about EV, we also talk about two-wheelers, like battery swap, for example. I think there's also the need to standardize the specification of the battery. If Shell, for example, if you want to invest in a two-wheelers battery swapping, we need to make sure that it's compatible. If it's not, then it's only certain type of brand of vehicles can use it, right? So I think again, of course, I'm looking again to Bahar, how can we make sure that all of this are actually supported with the right policies, with the right regulatories? Because I think if this is all clear, even without incentive, I think a lot of industry will start, making it as a critical mass.
Thank you. Noting only have 2 minutes before we have to go, but so
you can continue. I don't mind. Unfortunately, Depok is quite far away, and
if I am late by 15 minutes, they don't let me at all.
Okay.
It's,
Ah.
of course, I don't do bribing, it's,
Yeah, governance part, yeah, very
it's
important.
governance part.
Yes. So, any other panelists who wants to answer about the EV?
Okay, thank you. Interesting, your question regarding to the EV. First, I think this is not so easy to change the mindset of the public, to change from the internal combustion to electric vehicle. So this needs massive socialization. And the second is, it is something like chicken eggs. What should be the infrastructure first or electric vehicle? So until now, the population of the electric vehicle is 28,000 fleet in Indonesia, and the charging station is about 1,000. So the ratio, ideal ratio of the charger refers to IEA is about 1 to 10 under 12. So there's still a lot of work to build the infrastructure. And what the handicap until now is about the price of energy storage, especially battery. Battery price is about the 40 until 50% of the vehicles. Then it is still competitive between what the first battery for electric vehicle or hydrogen vehicle. I think this same energy storage and it's still competitive. So we still waiting for that the price. Right now the price is quite declines. I think in the market is 200 million. You can get the new one of the electric vehicle. But we do hope that with the infrastructure preparation, it is will be accelerate in implementation of because we have a target until 2030, such certain number of EV charger that should built by the government and private, and then it is aimed to accelerate the electric vehicle in Indonesia. Thank you.
And also, I also want to add, some incentives in terms of the conversion from combustion engine to electric type of motorbikes. I think the Ministry of Chemical Markets is investigating of increasing the subsidies for the transition, and if we have a battery swap system, hopefully the incentive will cover the conversion process. But still need to see that. Anyway, so if you have to catch a class, thank you very much for your.
Would you mind everyone if I leave early?
Please.
This is for my next generations. It's related
Good excuse.
to you. It's related to you, public relations, because actually I study law not to become lawyers here, don't worry, I'm not going to take your job or to become notary here. No, I'm actually studying constitutional law because I believe constitution. Well, how can we actually go to net zero if our undang-undang does not reflect our way of life, which is Pancasila? So that's my I will specialize in constitutional law. Yeah. That's may I, nice meeting everyone, and thank you for joining the ESG group, the Net Zero Kadin, and thank you Pak for coming, thank you Ibu and everyone. I bid myself bye-bye, and my team is still staying here to chat around after the talk. Thank you Pak Andi for moderating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Sorry.
So I will then invite more questions. Oh, actually, yeah, Anthony was the target question. Yeah.
I hope I'm quite as entertaining as Anna, because Anna is always, have a lot of experience and enrich our paradigm. But let me share a bit about EV. So yesterday we had a meeting in Pak Luhut's office. So now I can share to the audience that since Perpres 79/2023 being signed, it gives a lot of opportunities for OEMs. So in short, you can import the EV without income tax, and the luxurious tax will be withholded. But you have to commit on certain production milestone. You can do the production or assembly in stages, and you can work also with OEM. There is already established here. So we have a lot of companies enjoying this scheme. And now I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2 already validated by the investment ministry, Citron and Meta. And I think there are already 12 companies are waiting to get validated. What does it mean? It means that the OEM have this confidence on our market. Now, if you are in Kadin, there's always a window called opportunities that we would like to provoke and put in the table. Can we imagine innovative business model is gonna rise out of this EV market? Can we solve the issue of the battery recycling process, right? Finfast had a good talk with us. It's an OEM coming from Vietnam. They just got listed in Nasdaq last year. The issue of EV is one of it, of course, one of few, and infrastructure is also a problem. Yeah, Pak Haryanto, I agree. Is the salvage value. There is no single OEM they are giving a buyback at the moment. So all of this percent here, well, if I buy the EV after the 5th year, the 6th year, will it be zero? What is the salvage value? Will it, is it gonna be just a salvage that have no value at all? So Finfast had a very innovative business model. They sell the car, but then they lease the battery. So actually,
You own it, you just rent it.
you just rent but the battery. So the car and all of the chassis is owned by the car owners, but they lease the battery month per month. So this is an example, a simple example that there are a lot of companies are doing a lot of innovative things how to tackle and get the market in Indonesia. Infrastructure, yes, I agree. Now what we have is only 1,000 plus, and not mentioning about it's not all public chargers. Most of it are home chargers. So what if you go outside town? What happened in Mudik? So these are the Johari window that we have to answer, right? And another issue is, for example, what we push. So in Kadin, we try to provoke and send a policy recommendation that every new commercial building, before the SLF of the certificate of worthiness being released, it has to fulfill certain percentage of public service obligation as a public charger has to be available there. Otherwise you will be fighting over chargers, man. And it's no longer a game of what we call the ancient sunlight, where you go to SPBU, bam, you pay 2 minutes go, right? You have to do this coexist with your activities, right? Of course, Ibu will be more expert than me in explaining all of this transition, but I'm just saying, as a user, I'm an EV user. At least for me, I don't have to look on my audit my driver anymore. Before, you can move the energy, right? Basically, you say you buy full tank, but actually half of it you sell it to your friend or your cousin, right? But here, you cannot do it. So in the governance side, it really gives a non-technical advantage to the car owners to address the issue. So I mean, all of these funny things. We have a charging complex in Tamrin 9, Pak Darsono's good friend. We have around 20 guns there, and I talked to the user like, are you like having an office here? Do you work here? He said, no, I work in Cipete. Then why you charge here? Oh, it becomes a park and ride concept for me. So it's new concept. So you park there and you go to MRT, you go to Cipete, and afterwards you go back again. So all of this, how you say, new animals on the planet are rising. It changes behaviors, it changes a lot of unlocking a lot of new business opportunities, and who never know that there'll be a lot of innovative ways to really craft that to serve the needs and the market and add value. So my point is, yes, there are challenges like Pak Haryanto mentioned, there are also opportunities. So I think in Bridgeham we are open to collaborate because it's about business to business and add value to the equation. And more than welcome, you got Pak Darsono here, so the chief gonna direct us any collaboration we can do. Obviously EV, and we see some boilers, energy service companies. At the end of the day, once the framework is there, once the target setting is there, the companies need partners. They cannot do it by themselves, right? They need the engineering company, for example. They need manpower, they need whatever, to support whatever they want to achieve. So it actually creates and unlock a series of lot of opportunities. So we are looking the challenges with opportunities and looking forward to collaborate with Preacher members.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions from the audience? Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Dea from Base Executive. So going back to the title, journey challenges, and I'm pretty much interested in the human capital and transfer of knowledge. So we talk a lot about how to implement this, but going back again, I think one of the issues for most companies that I work with, so be it like large multinational companies or small companies, medium-sized companies, the issue has always been the transfer of knowledge and how to implement it. In the first place, we don't have, previously we didn't have clear regulations. We did not have clear manpower or talent pool in the market. So sometimes we have to, like outsource people from overseas, take them to Indonesia, and it's very hard. It's not easy to convince them to go back to Indonesia, to go to Indonesia or to go back to Indonesia if they are actually Indonesian going overseas. So we have an issue with the human capital gap here. So there are several solutions usually. From what I know, it's either you hire someone at the top level and then transfer the knowledge to other employees in the companies, or you hire a consultant. Now, I just want to hear from your perspective, based on your experience, what is the best practice so that I can transfer this knowledge to other companies that I work with also. Because that's probably my role, is to connect the knowledge, to transfer the knowledge, and to help other companies to implement what you've been successfully doing. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So who wants to answer in terms of human capital development and what sort of...
I can share a bit, just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, in our experience, Bapak Ibu, I think human capital is an asset of the nation, Bapak Ibu. There was one CEO of Starbucks that I knew. His name is Howard Beer. He always say, Starbucks is never in the coffee business serving people, but it's in the people business serving coffee. It sounds fancy, but I mean it has a deep meaning, right? In Kadin, we always try to promote the inclusivity and present the beauty of our growing economy. We are like, our GDP is about 5% per year. That means from the energy transition only, it could be global. 10, 11%. It's one of the best in the region, right? And now we have more and more brilliant people in the government, right? You see the deputies, and Bu Dirjan yang baru is from BRIN. So these are like wonderful people in the top decision-making level who's can make the change. But of course, the ecosystem has to be ready. For example, sorry Pak Arianto, because you are the only from government. Apparently, seems like I am also criticizing government policy, but it's not only from your directorate, of course. SKTTK, Pak. So in the solar system installation, for example, we have BNSP and we have ASOGATRIC. So if you certify under BNSP, the outcome is called certificate competency based on SKKMI. But if you have the certificate, you cannot install in PLN. PLN only accept the certification released by the SDM ministry. So these are like the global costing and global standards happening in the market. It's only one example. So I think we have a lot of technical homework ahead, but I do believe that there are still a lot of things that we can do to attract good people, good talents, because it's a growing economy and we need a lot of Indonesians, and maybe not only Indonesians, like foreigners coming here, investors coming here. And it's our job in Kadin to make sure that the ecosystem is supportive, right? If you cannot help them, don't disturb them. I think that's the easy way to say it. Thank you.
Very good.
So thanks for the question. So I think if I speak on behalf of Shell, Shell is actually striving, and we want to be the most diverse and most inclusive organization in the world. That's basically our aim. And that actually giving equal opportunity to everyone, regardless of gender, regardless of race, ethnicity, and that's actually becoming our mantra, maybe not mantra, but our values, yeah, in making sure that, we implement it in every single business unit across our organization. And if we look at Shell, for example, how do we attract, how do we implement this, which actually attracting a lot of good talent? About more than 30% or 40% of our senior executives are female. Yeah. In Indonesia, for example, about 50% of our directors are female. Yeah. So we really practice this, but it's not just about statistics, because we want to stay away from statistics, right? We want to make sure that we give the equal opportunity to everyone who actually demonstrate, capacity, demonstrate leadership. And, when we actually, the way we do business, there's three values, core values, which is basically respect, honesty, and integrity, and that has to be shown across the organization. So we want to make sure that whoever works for Shell feels valued and also feels respected. I think that's, to me, if I can speak from my experience, I've been with Shell for more than 15 years. And I never thought that I would last this long, yeah, because in my previous experience, I moved every 2 to 3 years, different companies, different industries. But I think these values really resonate with me, and I think these values really resonate with a lot of people in the company, in which actually one of our way to attract good talent. And I think, diversity and inclusivity is one way, that we need to practice day in, day out.
I think Ibu Maria also has a comment.
Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe I'll just share my experience, because in my daily life, I'm a consultant in the area of ESG and sustainability, and I have helped many companies in developing their roadmap for ESG, roadmap including community development programs that link to ESG. So ESG linked community development programs or CSR programs. So based on my experience, this is one of a multinational company, which is Vale Inco. Maybe you know Vale, yeah? So yeah, we help them from zero, where we as a consultant, yeah, we help them to develop the roadmap. And I think the role of consultant in the beginning is very important. However, in our way of work, yeah, so we always prepare our clients to be independent, in the future, not dependent sustainably to us, so that's not good, yeah. So what we've been doing is always helping them build the roadmap, and then Vale asked us so we propose that you need to have sustainability committee, yeah, and then we also recommend to have sustainability department. Now, in this department is the talent pool, in that department. So in that department, they need to have, so we develop their, code of ethics, governance of ESG, and then the roles and responsibilities, and etc. So one of their roles is to keep updated with the global development, global standard, global agreement on ESG, as well as, government regulations related to ESG. So if you look at the book that I wrote with my team in the guidance of ESG, there are regulations, Indonesia context regulations related to ESG. So the people in the ESG department need to understand the global development need to keep updated, and also maintain communication with, for example, rating agencies ESG ratings. It depends on the request of the investors or maybe the customers. So because different customers, different investors, they demand different rating agencies and different standards, So like for example, we have Pelindo as well. They have to comply with Moody's, Fitch rating, and a Standard & Poor's, and we have Vale with IRMA, International Responsible Mining, ESG indicators, which has 450 indicators of ESG, and also they need to comply with Sustainalytics, which has 250 indicators, So it is not an easy task. So this human capital absolutely is number one. It's like the foundation, yeah. So you need to invest in human capital development and in human capital, sustainable development, in your company when it comes to ESG, because the dunia persilatan or ecosystem of ESG is so complicated, and it's always developing. Always, yeah, anytime. Yes, okay, thank you. That's my
So I think that's good. I think to answer your question, I think the companies need to allow, when they recruit, certain criteria for ESG or sustainability when in attracting talent, which I think is evident for everyone here, including for McDonald. We also look for people that have specific experience on ESG implementation and management. But maybe companies, talent agencies needs to connect with Kadin in terms of, so Kadin will help connect you with the different companies that need talent development programs. Okay, so I think that was a very good question. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, silakan Pak.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the nice panel discussions. My name is Diti. I'm a researcher from IPMI. So just very interesting because I can see I get insight from all of you about how the ESG development in all sectors. But then my questions more into the funding gap for the sustainable transitions, because the aim for IPMI is actually for the case study. And we have developed case study for small business enterprises. And we found that they have a difficulty to finding the gap, to fill up the gap in funding, because they also have to think about the capital allocations, and then in addition to that, they also, of course, have a lack of human capital, resource, and others. But how to, we found that they have an intentions to be green, to really comply with the sustainable target of Indonesia. But when they want to invest in sustainable innovations, they face this kind of issues. Maybe you have some insight or tips or suggestions for small business who wants to be growing like your company. And then my second questions will be the trend issue of greenwashing. Maybe you have heard about that, but my question is, how do you cope with that trend issues that might distract the company from the investors? I think that's it for my questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I think SMEs can actually start from the lowest hanging fruit, the quick win, which doesn't require high capital or financial capital. Like Ibu mentioned about the evidence that because they're applying the ESG, then they, the OPEX is lower, right? Because of savings, savings in cost, in operation expenditure, So they can start by, for example, saving the energy, saving the water, and then ask the employees, to have this collective action you know, and also maybe they can reuse the, like for example, if they have employees who are, you know, doing before prayer, they doing wudu, yeah, and then they can menampung the water from wudu and then reuse, you know, yeah, why not, you know, it's just small activities like, and also the organic waste from the food from the employees, you know, they can collect all of the organic waste and then make it as a compost, you know, fertilizer, compost fertilizer. Why not? Yeah. So I think that's one way of. So they can actually start from very low cost, you know, and then they will enjoy the benefit very soon. And the second for the capital, yeah. So actually now, because of the OJK regulation on sustainable finance, all banks now must provide sustainable loan, sustainable link loan, you know, whether it is green loan or green bond, you know. So if they apply for a loan for a project that they are going to fund, for example, we need to buy a recycling or composting machine. Maybe the cost is only 50 million rupiah. Just go to BCA and then ask, this is ESG link loan. I'm applying for green loan. And they will charge them with lower interest rate. So that's actually the access to get capital. This is the essence of sustainable finance, actually. Yeah, so you can ask them to do that. And then about the greenwashing, I think this is mostly for publicly listed companies. They need to have like assurance if they, publish a sustainability report. You need assurance, you know. So assurance or verification, that's part of showing to people that we are not greenwashing, you know. Because in the process of assurance, they will ensure that you have the data, you know, not just based on, you know, your bluffing or imaginary, you know, data. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions you want to answer?
This is the final question, by the way.
So your question about the greenwashing, I think it's just what like Ibu Maria mentioned. For example, like us, yeah, when we launched our Powering Progress strategy in 2021, we are actually the first energy company who submit advisory note to our shareholders for them to support the strategy and get huge support on that one. And we mentioned that we will provide an update every 3 years to track our progress. So just last week, we provided our first update of our strategy to show transparently, how are we progressing towards that target. Yeah. If is there any adjustment needed, for example, and of course the reporting, like what you mentioned, has to be transparent and has to be aligned with the standard regulation as well. So all of this needs to be communicated definitely. Yeah. So you know your data, you provide your progress as well.
And maybe how about accountability to make sure that you do say what you do, otherwise what happens? That's the question for greenwashing.
Just add a bit. So in Kadin, we work a lot in the institutionalized partnership, like with Tamasya Foundation or East Venture. We're gonna even make a incubation partnership with them. But I think at the end of the day, capital should not be the hardest barrier for it. That's my point. As long as the business model is there, I mean, Kadin comprised of thousands of companies. They are looking for opportunities. So if any of whatever startup or new businesses having a good business model, a good case, you can reach us anytime. We'll be more than happy to connect you with probably more settled companies to collaborate, or even they can become an investor. Business matching, link and match. And lastly, of course, we all disagree with greenwashing, but I think it really comes back to the constituents. If the customer still gets shark fit, you cannot stop the hunters, right? If the constituents are still okay the greenwashing and they chew everything that they intake, then I do not think that it's gonna be a sustainable solution for everyone. So we in Kadin, we try to increase the literacy. We let people know. We step up if we see something is wrong, and it's something we can do within our control.
Thank you. Any final remarks? No? So thank you very much. They were very good questions. And obviously, we now need to draw the event to a close. So to provide a closing remarks, we have a very special guest. I want to introduce Ibu Shinta Kamdani, owner and CEO of Sintasa Group. So she oversees the diverse business portfolio of the business. As the coordinating vice chairwoman, number 3 of Kadin, and chairwoman of Employers Association of Indonesia, Indo, she is a key figure in Indonesia's business landscape. Ibu Shinta champions sustainability through roles like the founder of Indonesia Business Coalition for women's empowerment, very important criteria for the country. And she is recognized globally for her leadership, being a member of United Nations Global Investors for Sustainable Development, GISD Alliance, and she chaired the B20 of Indonesia at the 2020 G20 Summit. So welcome Ibu Shinta, and to welcome you to the program.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone, and I'm very happy to be here to see there's a lot of interest from companies, both Indonesia and British businesses that are interested in trying to really implement an ESG in their companies. So thank you again for British Chamber of Commerce for cooperating with Kadin Indonesia and having this event, and I'm sure it has been a fruitful discussion and informative session for all of you. I think as we come to explore our journey towards sustainability, it is crucial to also acknowledge the ever-evolving challenges that shape Indonesia's multifaceted economy. I think the year 2023 has always been characterized as the aftermath of the global pandemic. I think the looming threat of an economic downturn and the escalating climate crisis underscoring the crossroads at which Indonesia investment and economic development now stand. As we stand here in March 2024, we persist in navigating through these challenges. I think yesterday we also just had an announcement from the KPU, and we have a president-elect. And actually, one agenda that we always say for the president-elect, when I met him, I continued telling him this: don't forget that sustainability, I think, is the key pillar of getting into the Golden Indonesia 2045. So I think we have a president-elect and hopefully can support this agenda. And I think with his experience in the past, we have seen that this is something that also is close to his heart. I think in paving a way forward for the Indonesia 2045, Kadin Indonesia has also come up with the roadmap Indonesia Emas 2045. And this is aligned with the RPGBM of Bappenas, and it identifies some ambition to propel Indonesia out of the middle income trap. So the 4 strategic growth pillars is, of course, resilient enhancement, welfare promotion, strengthening inclusivity, and advancing sustainability. And this commitment is also further exemplified by Kadin Indonesia dedication to fostering environmental stewardship within the Indonesia business community. So Kadin has a dedicated sustainability task force. I think all my colleagues here are very active in trying to promote this in Kadin, and also comprising of the Net Zero Hub, coordinating by Pak Darsono, and also Anthony on the energy transition. We also have Ibu Indita on the ESG task force. So we have many on the sustainability where we put everything there, including the EV task force. We also have even on the financing side and so forth. So there are many areas that I think Richard later can also cooperate more with Kadin on this. I think this government effort also to spearhead the economic transformation through the green economy undoubtedly required support from the business world, and considering that climate change dynamic have impacted various fundamental aspects of life with threat that will grow increasingly larger in the future. Consequently, it's also not only the government commitment as a regulator that is needed, but also the commitment of the business sector to shift towards adopting sustainable business practices and investing in green economy-based development. I would also like to share with you that later this year, in early September, 5th and 6th, we'll be hosting another Indonesia International Sustainability Forum, and this will be the largest sustainability forum which Indonesia will invite many of the global players on sustainability. So we hope of British businesses and which support on this particular event. It will be hosted by the government of Indonesia. Of course, the coordinating minister, maritime and investment is the key organized here together with Kadin Indonesia. And I think Kadin here will continue to push this agenda on ESG and sustainability, not only for business resilience and success in the long term, but will be equally beneficial also to create value for the welfare of our society and the planet's sustainability for future generation. I think we need to identify more companies from their current sustainable position and design actionable sustainability plan. And when we talk about companies in Kadin, this is all from the big one to the small one. So we cannot forget the small medium enterprise that is also imperative, an important part of our economy to join forces with us on this. And it's interesting because Apindo did a survey on ESG and on 2,000 companies, and only 35% of business sector understand the practices of ESG. So the number is still quite low. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our work. We need to do more socialization, more education. And I think while the adoption has been slower, I think it's continuously evolving across various business sectors. So I'm happy to hear that today many of the companies, some companies, the Shell, Pan Brothers, and many has shared on their key challenges also lies in the ESG standard metrics and performance indicator, as well as, of course, understanding on the ESG itself. And I think the call for innovation and collaboration resonates louder than ever, and it is imperative that all shareholders, particular economic actors, and remain steadfast in the pursuit of this progress. So our collective vision of developed Indonesia must persist despite the hurdles that we encounter. I believe most of us here already have access to valuable resources, whether through digital book or the link that we provided on the ESG guide. I think this really serves as a roadmap for navigating the intricacies of the current landscape, advocating for the seamless integration of the ESG principle into the operational strategy. As we reflect on the road ahead, let us really view these challenges and opportunity for growth rather than all the barriers. I think the shift towards sustainability not only foster economic growth, but also underscore our collective responsibility towards environmental preservation and social equity. I hope that through our discussion this morning, we have achieved a deeper understanding, and we would like to also appreciate the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources that plays a pivotal role in driving the national sustainability agenda through proactive measure and collaboration with the stakeholder in paving way for a greener and low carbon economy on energy security and affordability are very commendable. And also, I would again close by saying thank you, Richam, and let's continue this work. And I think I would really like to reiterate the importance of our commitment together. Let's make this sustainability not just as a jargon, but it's something that we can all prove on our business that this is something that we can integrate in all our businesses. And I think the commitment to a future where prosperity is synonymous with environmental stewardship and social responsibility together, I think let us really strive to make this vision a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I would like to invite the CEO, Chris Richam, to also respond to the vision. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the panels.
I wasn't planning on a response. Not really much that can be added to something that was extremely articulate and very, very comprehensive, except to say, and I caught a little bit of the panel towards the end, its actions have got to be directly behind and supporting all the dialogue, not use of jargon, which Vishen has said, but actually for business and all of its stakeholders to be focused on creating impacts in particular that the next generation could be particularly proud of. And talking of proud, I'm very, very proud that Richam has been able to develop this collaboration today with CADIN. I sincerely thank the leadership, stewardship of Andy of the Smart Sustainable Cities Group, the excellent levels of cooperation with senior members of the CADIN team. Delighted also that our own board was able to be represented here as well. Thank you, Ingrid. And to all of you for making the time to come during this, for some of you, the holy month of Ramadan, which is perhaps a difficult time to get focused on really, really serious issues. But this is something we need to build on. That's our commitment. Thank you all.
Now we would just like to present some of the certificates and also take some photos with the panelists and audience.
So, I don't know whether it's escaped your attention or it's been mentioned before, but you see these 75?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't reflect anyone's age in this room.
75 years of UK Indonesia.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we would like to present you with only the second polo shirt with this particular logo.
Thank you very much.
And we have equally valuable certificates of appreciation for our panel members. For Anthony Otomo first. Ingrid. And number 3.
So now is the first session. So how do we follow the audience? With the speakers? And then we go, yes.
Mana aja kali ya, di depan.
Masih naik.
Mau yang kasarnya apa?
Yang udah rapi aja lah.
Aku wanti jadi kapitalia.
Gak apa-apa sih. Masa yang lo lipat aja. Enak itu yang ikut dia bisa nggak seburu ya. Harus